Hi everyone, welcome back to The Mystic in the Woods. I'm Kate, and today we're going to be talking about shadow work, tarot, and inner child healing. So when it comes to inner child work, right, we're starting to look at things like what wounding do I carry from childhood? My inner child is kind of the piece of me that's stuck in childhood, composed of all those experiences, and is looking through the lens of childhood when they look at the current moment. So they're projecting the things from childhood onto our current moment. Now, I have a whole video on this, so I'm going to link it below because that's where I talk about what child work is, inner child work is, how to get started with it, stuff like that. So it very much goes hand in hand with this video. But when we are looking at inner child work, the question really becomes, what wounding am I carrying from childhood? How is that impacting me now? How do I need to reparent myself? How can I provide what I needed then to myself in this moment? We're looking at all those kinds of things. So for me, when a page comes up in a reading, those are really the cards that are pointing me towards inner child work. They're going to point me towards the inner child and the different types of wounding that I might be wanting to look at from my childhood, as well as what kind of medicine or healing or what I might need in this moment. As a side note, the queens are very wrapped up in inner child work, in my opinion, as well, because whenever I have a queen come up, I'm always going to start to wonder, how do I need to nurture myself in this moment? I'm going to link my queens and anxiety video below as well, just to give you guys a start on how I view the queens, and we'll be bringing them up again in at least one future video, probably a couple. So this is about pages, right? And when a page comes up in a shadow work spread, I'm especially going to be looking at my inner child and the types of wounding that I'm carrying. However, even in a spread on a different topic, when I get pages, I'm very often starting to think about the inner child. So this, of course, is a video that is about shadow work. So this is how I read pages in that area. When I'm reading on shadow work, this is how I'm going to interpret pages. And also, of course, like, the cards speak to us all a little bit differently. So even though they do have their sort of standard meanings, just take what resonates from this and leave what doesn't, because at the end of the day, how you read the pages should be what works for you. So let's get into the pages a little bit. If we are going to talk about court cards, we really need to understand the elements. So pages, for me, in the way that I read, are associated with earth. So all four of the pages are associated with earth. And they carry that childlike energy, right? And I don't mean necessarily naive or childish. I mean that childlike ability to be intentional, to be in the moment, to look at the world without all the conditioning, that type of energy. So for me, earth is about embodiment, it is about health, it is about things on the physical plane, it is about manifestation, it can be finances, all of these kinds of things. The pages for me really are the epitome of their elements, the core essence of their element here on this physical plane. And their ability to be really intentional and really present with that element. So I have an almost 2-year-old. His ability to be present and intentional with the smallest things is astounding. He can find a stick or a leaf, and it has 100% of his attention. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about pages being of earth. Now, of course, I'm going to bring this all back to shadow work and inner child work, right? So let's run through the pages. Now, let's start with the page of Pentacles. So this is the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, but I have a variety of other pages here to show you guys as well. And please know that you in no way need to own these decks in order to understand the pages, okay? What I wanted to do is pull a handful of pages so you could see them depicted a little bit differently, okay? So let's start with the page of Pentacles. Now, the page of Pentacles is Earth of Earth. It is the earthiest of the earth cards, right? The page of Pentacles, and I'm just going to pull out a couple here from my pile, is present. They are really full of that childlike innocence and devotion to the thing that they're doing. So this is what I was just talking about with my son, my 2-year-old, who can be so enamored with a leaf or a stick or playing with his train. He doesn't have, you know, the jokes that go around online about all the different tabs being open in your head and one of them is playing music, right? He doesn't have that. He has the one tab and he's doing the one thing. And the Page of Pentacles is very much about that. So this is the Boo Tarot. I will write these decks in the description below. This is the Boo Tarot, the Night Sun Tarot, and the Ember and Aura Tarot. And the Page of Pentacles is really enamored with the presence and the devotion that children bring to their play and to what they are doing and to exploring and to all of the different things. So I'm gonna look at my notes here so I don't forget anything. Yes, so they're full of that wonder that children can have when they're just doing something that they love for no other reason than the love of doing that thing, right? Now, when this comes up in a reading, when the Page of Pentacles comes up in a reading, so here's that devotion to, you know, planting things. I think I really like the Boo Tarot and the I think it's the Night Sun Tarot, but Moon and Sun. I will put the link below because I actually can't remember what this deck is called. I will put the link below for you guys, or I'll put it below so you know which deck this is. The Moon, the Sun and the Moon. I'm a little bit annoyed that I can't remember the name of this deck. It's okay. The name will be below. What I like about these two depictions of the pages in these decks is that they are so focused on those pentacles. They are so focused on the magic of the thing that is in front of them. So when this comes up in a reading, when I have the Page of Pentacles come up in a reading on shadow work, of course I'm going to inner child work. Okay, and I'm going to say, what does my inner child need help with right now? And this is going to point me towards wounds of perhaps being belittled in some way for the things I was interested in as a child. This is going to bring me, of course, towards physical wounding because it's of the body. Maybe wounds that I'm carrying around finances from when I was a child, because inner child wounding is the stuff that happened to us. It's also the stuff that we saw. So if we observed certain patterns or conversations about money, we can really internalize that when we're kids. So the Page of Pentacles is Earth of Earth, and it's definitely pointing me towards my inner child work, as all of these are. The other thing about the Page of Pentacles is that it's really asking me to just be. Can I just be present? Can I go outside and remember that childlike wonder? Can I go outside and be enamored with a leaf and really notice all of the magic held within the leaf? That type of thing. All right, so let's do the Page of Cups next. So the Page of Cups is Earth of Water. So this is the Boo Tarot, and then here's another one. The Page of Cups is that childlike ability to be in tune with empathy, intuition, and emotion, right? So when this card comes up for me personally in a shadow work reading, and this is the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, it's pointing me towards wounding around where language and actions may have been misaligned in my childhood, where space maybe wasn't held for my emotions, or emotions weren't validated, or even worse, emotions were perhaps belittled. It's pointing me towards, let me just check my notes here, where your emotions were not validated, where you were maybe considered too emotional, where intuitive or connection to your intuition rather was not honored, or again belittled in some way. When the Page of Cups comes up in a reading, it's really asking me to hold space for those emotions of my inner child. Children are fairly emotional creatures, right? Because again, children are still developed. Their brains are still developing, their nervous systems are still developing, and their ability to hold those own emotions is lacking. Within all social mammals, but especially within humans, emotional intelligence and the ability to regulate, that's the word I'm looking for, to regulate our own emotions is something that needs to be taught by mature members of our social groups. And so the Page of Pentacles is going to point me towards where did I maybe not receive that? And how can I honor that in myself now? How can I honor my own emotions now? How can I make space for my inner child's emotions, my inner child's empathy, my inner child's intuition? How can I really make space for that? So that's how the Page of Cups is going to come up for me in a reading in shadow work. Now let's do the Page of Wands next. Now the Page of Wands is of course fire and earth. And what always, I'm just looking for my other wands, because I know I've got another one sitting here. What I always think about with the Page of Wands is play for me. I am always thinking about that childlike, passionate, excitable play. And for me, that's who the Page of Wands is. They are so connected to that inner passion, to that inner spirit, to the things that they love, to their creativity and their excitement and their ability to just be passionate about things, right? A little kid's ability to just be so excited about the things that they love, which tend to be fairly simple things. So that passion and that creativity, right? Now, when this comes up in a reading, it is pointing me towards where maybe in my childhood was I told that I was too much. I was too loud. I was too excited. I was just too big, too much. Where can I allow myself to be that again? Where can I bring play in? Dance, movement, passion for the things that I have and that I love. How can I bring that back in and hold space for my inner child to reclaim that passionate, excited play that perhaps was perhaps not allowed as children? I think that's very common, especially for women, where we are as we are growing up, very consistently either told directly or through society that we're too much and we need to be less. We need to be less sexual. We need to be less passionate. We need to be less loud. We need to just be less. And so when a page comes up for me in a shadow work reading, or the Page of Wands comes up for me in a shadow work reading, I'm looking specifically at that wounding about being less from my childhood, as well as how can I really hold space and allow for myself to bring that play back into my daily life, okay? So then what do we have left? The Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords, and now I got like a huge mess of cards here. Here we go. Here's one Page of Swords. I also really love this Page of Swords because she's just so free with the sword. Here's the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery. Here's another one where we have the Page of Swords just so, like, she has this sword. She doesn't really know what to do with it, maybe. Like, none of them look extremely fluent with sword fighting, right? They have the sword, and they're very excited about it, but it's new to them. For me, the Page of Swords is that intellectual child, the one that has questions and understands things and is skilled and has that internal wisdom, and that child who just go, but in an intellectual way. For me, this is how this tends to come up. So when this comes up in inner child work, a lot of times the wounding that I'm looking at is where were we conditioned to believe that our voice wasn't worthy, that our voice didn't matter? Where were we silenced? And especially, as always, how is that still impacting you today? So with all of these pages, regardless of the one we're looking at, the question is, what wounding is it pointing us to from our childhood, and how is that still impacting us today? So when the Page of Swords is pulled in a shadow work reading, and I start to look at inner child work, I'm starting to wonder, where was my voice not validated? Where was my voice unheard? Where was my voice silenced? And how can I validate my voice now? And how can I remember now that my voice matters? That's what I'm going to be really looking at within my shadow work reading as it comes to kind of these pages. So let's look at how we would read these in various positions in that spread that we've been using throughout this series. And if anybody wants access to that PDF, that link is in the description below. So I have the full spread, and there's a 40-some question bank that goes with that spread. It's very plug and play. But that will be in the link below as well. Okay, so what I have done is pulled the 6-card spread from the PDF, which you can get on my website. The link is below. Now, this is the shadow piece. So the shadow piece that we're looking at is the Page of Swords. And I'm going to be moving the Page of Swords around so you can kind of see how it impacts the spread. I'm just looking to see if everything is in sight. The Page of Swords here. So I'm looking at a wounding around believing that my voice matters from my childhood. That's specifically where I need to be focusing my shadow work right now. It's impacting my ability to express my voice. It began... I'm going to take the Four of Wands just literally in this spread here. That maybe it began during celebrations of some kind, during family parties. Was I not allowed to express myself during family parties? Was I maybe supposed to be seen and not heard? Okay. The root of this, so what's really beneath all of this, is my ability to understand my authentic self was impacted by all this. It's protecting me by, if I don't use my voice, I don't have to be hurt, okay? And integration and support at this time, so what card is acting as an anchor or guide for me as I begin to navigate and integrate this shadow piece? For me, I'm just gonna say maybe it's time to begin something new. Like, maybe it's really time for me to reinvest in a new project in my life that will allow me to have an outlet while I'm working on this, right? Like maybe a new creative exercise or that type of thing. So let's move this around and just see how it changes everything. Now, what I would do if I pulled this spread for myself is I would journal around all of these things. I would meditate because, if you've seen my shadow work video, then I really believe the bulk of our shadow work happens in meditation, and then the integration happens when we're done with that. Anyway, now if we switch these, so let's put the Page of Pentacles here, and let's put 4 here. So now what we have is still a very similar spread on this side, but the shadow piece that needs to be looked at right now is maybe our ability to celebrate. Why aren't we able to celebrate our accomplishments in life? Why is that so hard for us? It's impacting, again, our ability to be expressive. The root of that it has had is an impact on our ability to be our most full self. But it began in childhood. So you can see there's definitely overlap in all of these pieces, right? So while here it said you need to look at inner child healing, that is the thing you need to do. Here it's saying this began when you were a child. This inability to express yourself. It began when you were a child and you're still using it to protect yourself now. Now, if we put this over here, okay, now it's how it protects us, how this shadow piece has served to protect us. So this is all a very similar message still, right? So perhaps an inability to celebrate our accomplishments in life. It's impacting our ability to express ourselves. The root of this really is that understanding of our full self and how to express that, how to move that out into the world. And where it began was during a painful moment. So this, in this position, the 3 of Swords starts to say, like, who actually said something that made you believe that you shouldn't be celebrating, that you don't have the right to celebrate your accomplishments in life? Who said that? All right, so that's just a really quick rundown of the pages and how they impact a shadow work reading for me and how they point us towards various types of inner child wounds. So if you have any questions or there's anything you'd like me to follow up more on, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Bye.